Welcome home, neighbors.
Welcome home, neighbors.
Hello, neighbors.
We're listening from
Arizona,
Florida,
Maryland,
New York,
New Jersey,
Minneapolis,
California,
Utah,
Michigan.
Iowa, Massachusetts,
Georgia, Canada,
Our home resort is
Animal Kingdom,
Polynesia,
Bay Lake Town,
Old Key West,
Riviera,
Boardwalk,
Alani Resort,
Boulder Ridge,
Copper Creek,
Grand Floridian,
Saratoga Springs,
Beach Club,
and Wilderness Lodge.
and you're listening to
and you're listening
You're listening to my
Welcome, everyone, to My DVC Points Community Hall. My name's Mary Ann, and I am so happy that you're here tonight to learn a little bit more about traveling to Walt Disney World with your little people in tow. Traveling with tots is always a creative thing, but staying DVC usually makes it easier. And a way to make staying DVC easier for all of us is by owning DVC points. But I don't know about you, but I don't always have the cash for all the things I want to buy, like DVC points. And then I see the perfect contract. You're on DVC resale market site and you see the contract, and then all of a sudden you want to buy it and you don't have the money. Well, thanks to Monera Financial, I do have the money to buy it. They're so easy to work with, and they provide such a great service to the community. And the fact that they're all a part of that world of DVC, it's really seamless, and the rates are really great. So if you need a new contract so you can have some extra points for staying in a little bit bigger DVC room now that you're taking a toddler or a preschooler with you to Disney and you don't necessarily want to share a bedroom with them anymore, call Monera Financial. They're going to help you out. And thanks so much to Monera for sponsoring our show tonight. And I'd like to welcome my friends who are going to tell us all about what it's like to travel with little people to Disney World. Holly, you are the queen of traveling with the little people to Disney World. And Sandy and I've been there. We've been there, done that. And one of the things, I'm coming to this from the perspective for me as a teacher of early childhood. I have a degree and a master's in early childhood education, which helps me see things from a little bit different perspective, not necessarily the mom perspective, but from that developmental perspective of where your kid is at while you're there at the parks. And that's kind of an important thing that gets lost, I think, sometimes for us. So just because I have teenagers, trust me, I was there. I was there with the crying child. Trust me, I was there. So tonight we're going to talk all about traveling home with our little people. So Holly, and we're going to talk first, I think we're going to talk about transportation. Holly, tell us, what are your best tricks and tips to traveling on Disney transportation with your little people?
So first, a little bit about our family. So we have 4 kiddos. Our oldest is 7, and we have a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 9-month-old. So one of our biggest kind of things that we've learned since becoming DVC is stay close to where you visit often. So we spend a lot of time at Magic Kingdom because of the ages of our kids. And so we own at Copper Creek. We own one of our contracts there, and we typically stay at least part of our trip at Wilderness Lodge because it has the boat access to Magic Kingdom. We also decided recently that renting a car works best for our family. Instead of taking the shuttle from the airport, or, Uber is really kind of hard when you need car seats, or you have more than 4 to 5 people.
And how many car seats do you need? You need 4 or 3 car seats.
2 car seats and a booster.
Yeah. I mean, so it no Uber's going to have that.
No. And even the minivans, when minivans come back, they only have 2 car seats. They only provide 2 car seats. So we used the minivan one time, not knowing that. And then we still had to call another Uber for 2 more people to go back. Yeah. So we rent a car. We check one of our car seats, and we use a car seat bag. So everything is good to go at the airport, and we can put that car seat right in our back. It has a backpack strap, and we rent a vehicle because it works best for us our kids do not, like most kids, like waiting in lines, and those buses have lines a lot of times. So when you have a car on property, you just have the freedom to just kind of go when you want to go, where you want to go. It's right there, and it's accessible for you. So we like to stay where we visit a lot, and we love to rent a car. Yeah.
Sounds like you have it down. And with that many kids, I mean, you're right. There is no good, especially now that Magical Express is not available anymore.
Mhm.
There isn't a good option other than paying. And by the time you put out that much money for even the lowest tier of Mirrors Connect, you're looking at going, oh, maybe we should just rent a car.
Now renting a car, for a big family, you need a big vehicle. You need the trunk space, and sometimes the minivan just isn't big enough, depending on how long we're going to be there. So it can add quite a bit to your budget. So if it is in your budget to do so, and you're traveling with several little kids, renting a car is a great option. You have the ability to go off property if there's anything you want to check out off property. If you need to make an emergency trip to a store and you don't want to have to worry about trying to find, delivery service for it, you just want to go pick it out yourself, you have that ability to do so. Well,
and it would save you. Think of the packing room it saves you, because you can skip packing diapers.
Yeah.
For all the people in diapers, have enough for 2 days with you. And then, you can just scoot down to local Publix or the local Target and pick up diapers because you have a car and it's available. Yeah. And Dan says navigating Disney roads is much easier than it seems.
Yeah. The first time you rent a car, you're kind of intimidated because, those buses just whip through. Yeah. They whip through everywhere, and it seems like that's all secret pathways. But nowadays with the phones, you just plug whatever you need into your phone, and it'll take you wherever you want to go, even if it takes you someplace you're not supposed to.
But that's never happened to me ever.
No. Like the time it took us to the Epcot parking lot to get to the Contemporary, and the cast member at the toll booth was like, "Don't worry, it happens all the time. Just make a U-turn and come back out." So
it took me to the Epcot parking lot at 2 a.m. when trying to get home from Magic Kingdom once to Saratoga.
No, but it is really easy getting around the parks, and the drives are really short. Like I feel like they're much shorter when you're in your own vehicle than when you're on the Disney buses.
Interesting. That's it's a really great perspective, and I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, and with DVC, when you're staying on points, you get it. Well, I guess if you're an AP, you get free parking at the parks. So,
sure.
Which I know a lot of
well, and
if you're a resort guest as well,
if you're a resort guest, you do. Okay.
Yeah. So you totally have free parking. So that's not something you need to worry about.
Yeah.
Sandy, what kind of tips would you like to share about transportation and little people?
So when we were traveling with littler people, because our people are still little, but when they were littler than they are now, our biggest kind of headache saver as far as transportation was honestly to have a stroller way past any age that a child would possibly be in a stroller at home. So for example, I think the last time we stopped using one was probably around 8 years old, because the other kid was a little bit littler. So we would get a double. We would rent them when we were down on property. And there's lots of options for that you can have either delivered to the hotel or you can pick up from the airport, what have you. But I mean, one of our trips down when we were there with my sister, it actually gave us an entire night out as adults, because the kids fell asleep on the bus on the way back to Epcot. We ended up at dinner. They didn't wake up. We put them on a bench in the Morocco restaurant, and then ended up just carting them around in the stroller asleep the rest of the evening. And they woke up the next morning. So we got a whole night out from just having that stroller handy with us. And just for meltdowns, or if it's raining or anything like that, you can just pop them under the rain cover. It's so handy. And for also like carrying extra stuff, you don't necessarily want to carry all the sweatshirts and everything in your backpacks. You can leave them in the bottom of the stroller. So that would be my huge item that I would say is great for transportation on site, in the parks, especially. Marianne, what do you have as your...
So my answer is this, and this, when my kids were little, and Katie was that 2-year-old at the parks, that quintessential people didn't know what they were doing taking the 2-year-old to the parks. But I did know one, and we used a lot of Disney transportation because we were going back for rest time every single day because I knew we were not going to function without it, right? So my answer was feed the bears. We get into line to get onto the bus. And we were, and we knew we were going to have to wait for that bus for 20 minutes. It never failed. It was easily 20 minutes, right? My answer was to feed the bears. I would hand out the snacks to all the people who were growling, all the people, that were under 7 that were growling at me, right? And then I would look at the oldest bear in the family and hand him a snack as well. And it just made waiting for Disney transportation so much easier if we were just focused on eating a snack, just a small snack. And I know sometimes you're getting on that Disney transportation and you're going someplace to eat. I get that. But even just a little thing of fruit snacks, because trust me, the sugar and fruit snacks burns off like that. So they're going to be hungry when you get to the restaurant. But just that little bit of fruit snacks can probably save your life while waiting for Disney transportation. And if their mouths are full, they probably aren't crying and screaming and bothering all the people around you, which I think for most of us is the one thing we worry about, is our kids melting down and bothering somebody else.
Agreed. Yeah, that was always a huge worry.
So, yep, Kevin, I get it. That gun shy about pulling the trigger for your next trip. It'll be our first trip with 2 kids. Yes. I totally get that.
I can't even imagine them outnumbering us. Like, I don't know how you do that, Holly.
Yeah, we've been outnumbered ever since we've done our Disney thing too. Yeah, we've been outnumbered the whole time too. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But that would be my best transportation tip. And I agree with Holly, staying close to where with DVC, that's the best part of it, is probably the best reason for a split stay, is to stay close to the parks you're going to be visiting and making your plan in that way. So, and unique transportation. If you could stay someplace where you can get there on a more unique way than the bus,
yes,
that's always a bonus too, because 2-year-olds are all about planes, trains, and automobiles. Probably more. They probably like the Disney transportation more than some of the stuff you're doing in the parks.
That was our Simon. The whole last trip, all he wanted was to ride the monorail. That's all we wanted to do.
So, yeah, but... Yep, Tim likes the split stay thing, and he uses an Uber on to help transfer luggage. But I am a big fan of just giving Disney my luggage and letting them transfer it for me.
Me too.
Car trips to Disney with little ones.
So lots of snacks. We would do every single state line. They would get a surprise. So they would get like a little treat, like some sort of snack, and we would take them to the grocery store with us ahead of time and have them pick out the different little snacks that they wanted. So they would know that they would get a special treat at each one of the state lines, or like a little toy that I got or trinket or something at we Target or wherever, where they have like the dollar section where it's actually kind of decent stuff. And so they would have that, or there would be a new activity that got brought out every state line. So that was one of our big things every time we would drive down. How about you guys?
My best advice is for longer car trips like that. If it's a 9-hour trip, you're planning on it taking you 12. I'm just going to tell you that to start. Go ahead and plan on it taking longer and build that into your plan. So you get up a little earlier and go. And my thing was always every rest stop, we would stop, get out of the car, try to use the restrooms if we had people that needed to do things like that, and let them run for a good 15 minutes before we would put them back into the car. And we've never driven all the way to Disney because for us, that's 24 hours and then add the extra time. But we drive out of town family all the time, and we're driving 6 to 8 hours a lot. And so for us, that's usually our key, is we have certain, stops that we know, and we do a little research ahead of time to the interesting ones. And even now today, there will be times when my kids will go, remember we stopped at that cheese store and we ate all the cheese samples? And I'm like, uh-huh. And it does add, I think it adds to the memories. If you're going to do that driving trip, go ahead and see part of the world on your way there and on your way home. Other people say, don't start driving till 9 o'clock at night and drive through the night. We aren't those people.
Neither are we. No. Not at all.
We are not all night drivers. So
our last trip that we drove down to Walt Disney World, Evie, we were maybe 4 hours away from home. We asked her what her favorite part of the trip was, and she looked at us and she said, "This." We're like, "What do you mean this?" "The road trip part and being together as a family and talking in the car." So that's the memories that you're building as a family, right?
Yep. Dan Austin is so right.
Mm-hmm.
He nailed this one. If you are taking Disney transportation of any kind, don't just throw everything in the bottom of your stroller.
Nope.
Have it in a bag, because you're going to take out the sleeping kid, and then you have to take out the stuff and fold up your stroller within about when you see that park bus pulling up or that resort bus pulling up.
And sorry, go ahead, Marianne.
You only have a few moments to get it done, people. So.
And what we use are those shopping bags that you get at Disney, like not the plastic ones, but like the ones that you buy for $1 or $2 with your purchase. And we use it to go through security too, because security will go through every part of your stroller. So we just, in the morning when we leave our room, we just put everything in that shopping bag and we walk through it through security with it. And then once we get through security, that's when we take everything out and kind of load up our stroller.
That's a great tip, actually, because you can also hang it off the handlebars of the stroller, right? So that's kind of fun as well.
Yep. And then you just have to unclip it and walk it through the little metal detectors now. And it's a breeze.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And Patricia says, we always made sure as the bus was pulling up, we got the little person out and get that thing folded up. And you know what? If it's a rented stroller, you're going to practice folding it up a couple of times before you even put your kid in it for the first time, so that you aren't struggling with that at the bus stop and frustrated when you're tired and cranky and everybody around you is tired and cranky. Go ahead and practice that a few times. If you're taking your own stroller, which I always took my own, I purposely bought a specific stroller just to take to Disney. Super lightweight, folded up about the size of an umbrella. And it had a strap on it that we could wear the stroller itself as a backpack.
That's cool.
And it was fantastic and it was just Katie sized. So Tim said he brought his 5-year-old and 2-year-old in February and brought his own stroller. It was huge for rest time and moving a little faster. We do a 2-bedroom so we can have our time, or we need to separate the two. Yep. Exactly. Evelyn drives down all the time. One daughter is in a wheelchair. This year we are taking the great grandbaby with us. We need crib sheets, toys, and books for the car. Oh, crib sheets, a good idea.
That's
to help contain your mess in the car.
Yeah. Over the cars. Yeah.
Winston says, with 16 hours or so of travel from Hawaii to Florida, we would wrap $1 toys and have them open them about every hour or as needed. That's perfect too.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for the Dollar Tree, right? Okay, I think we'll go on to our next topic, which is, what kind of magic do you pack in your park bag, Holly?
All right, I'm going first again.
Yes, you are.
All right, so in capital letters in the show notes, I wrote snacks, because you can never have enough snacks, even though everything is accessible at Disney World that you would possibly need. Like Marianne said, anytime you're waiting in a line, a pack of fruit snacks is like gold. Fruit snacks,
fish crackers,
suckers, goldfish crackers. Yes. And we love to get the Uncrustables, because you can get like a whole box at the grocery store for the same price that one costs in the parks. And we keep them frozen, and we pull them out of the freezer in the morning and just stick them in our bag. And by the time they need a good sizable snack, they're nice and soft and ready to be eaten. And it's, a little bit healthier than just getting some of the other things. So snacks. For
we
sure.
like those Go-Gurt tube yogurts for that
Mhm.
same purpose, because you can put them in frozen,
Yep.
and by the time you're ready to eat it, it's nice and
Ready to
still
go.
cold, but
Mhm.
yet it's not a popsicle anymore. So
When we're down in the States, we actually load up on the Uncrustables because our kids love them. We found out about them at Walt Disney World. They don't sell them here.
Oh no, that's so sad. I feel so bad for your kiddos.
Well, no, we figured out how to like buy the
Oh.
cutters and all that stuff to make them
Yeah.
ourselves, but like it's
Yeah.
still fun to get them
yeah.
directly from the freezer.
Yes, it is. They're just so convenient. They really
Mhm.
are. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so another thing that we always have in our bags are Band-Aids.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are first aid stations and baby centers that are available to get Band-Aids, but the first time your kiddo falls and scrapes their knee and they're just absolutely having a magical moment because of it, and you whip out that Band-Aid and all is well, you're so glad that you have them. Or if somebody around you needs one and you have it, you're like the savior for that family.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
character Band-Aids. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something about you need to have different characters
Yeah.
in your Band-Aid, like
Fun.
Entourage when you're down there, because somehow inevitably a Rapunzel Band-Aid will solve any situation for a little girl, or like a Star Wars one for any kid, you know, Mickey Mouse, whatever. And it doesn't even need to be like an actual boo-boo. So
No,
Exactly.
It usually isn't. Nope. And then the last thing that, well, I guess not the last thing. We can do more than 3, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay. We always take our own water bottles. And I know this is kind of a duh thing, but it might be something that you overlook because, you know, you think drinking fountains or, you know, whatever. But take your own water bottle because your kids will go through so much water and it will save you money. And you can get free water at any of the quick service stations. You just walk up to the mobile order pickup windows. You don't even have to wait in line. Just walk up to the mobile order pickup windows now, and they will give you cups of ice water. And we have, you know, the stainless steel bottles that keep it nice and cold all day long. Yeah.
I'll add to that point. Actually, the Florida water does not agree with our stomachs. So we do that, but we get Brita filter bottles, the sport bottles, and then the filter helps us with not having upset tummies from the Florida water.
I agree. Dan and I use the Brita bottle. The kids just take the regular stainless. Yeah.
Everybody in my family has their own Brita water bottle, and they've had them forever. And
Yes.
you know, and the last trip was the trip where all of them broke.
Oh,
so
no.
yeah, just people were dropping their water bottles, but I was like, we got lots of trips out of those
Yes.
Brita
Yeah.
water bottles. So
So
yes.
we found a brand that we really like on Amazon for the kids. They're called Iron Flasks. So it's kind of like the Hydro Flask brand, but they're a little bit cheaper because I know the kids are going to just beat them up, and they have, but they're reasonably priced, and I think they work just as well as the Hydro Flask. But
That's
shout out
awesome.
to them. But another thing, so these two kind of go together, and this will be my last one, and then I'll let Sandy go because I'm sure she has lots of fun stuff to share too. But so if you are a parent of a baby, you know about these little rolls of diaper baggies that are kind of there. They like smell good. So you put like soiled diapers in them and tie them up and throw them away. We always have those with us in the park because you never know when you're going to need them, but they also double as, you know, a kid spills on their shirt and you need someplace to put their shirt, or heaven forbid, this happens to us every trip, a kid gets sick all over themselves and you need someplace to put their clothes. So having some kind of bag, whether it be a Ziploc or those diaper baggies, that you can just kind of tie up, toss in your bag, and you don't have to worry about it leaking anywhere.
That's why we carry Ziplocs.
Yes.
Like tons and tons of Ziplocs, different sizes in our park bag, because, you know, either for snacks that are left over, or soiled clothes, or your phone when you're going on Splash Mountain, or, you know, whatever you can use them for at that moment in time. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And they have doubled for kids who are getting sick. So, you know, it's always nice to just like
Because
get
sick,
rid of that.
because sick happens.
It does. It
It
does.
The blowout diaper on the bus on the way to Hollywood Studios.
This happens. And then somehow you forget about it and you go on another trip, and then it happens again. You're like, oh yes, this happened last time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are just a few things that we always have in our bag. And I'm sure Sandy will hit on a few more things I had on my list. So I'll let her.
So Lifetime supply of wipes. Does anybody else travel to the parks with these? I still travel with a lifetime supply of wipes. I think this last adult trip was the first time I didn't have a lifetime supply of wipes with me. Our first trip down, actually, our friends hadn't thought of it. And so the line was, go see Auntie Sandy. She's got lots of wipes because that's what it was. They get messy. They get so messy. And you just want to clean them off quickly and move on with your day. And they're so handy for everything, disinfecting things, for just cleaning up those little fingers, you know, the ones that are a little bit more gentler for cleaning up their faces and stuff. So that's definitely one thing that we always have in our park bag. Another thing that we always have is zip ties. Do you guys carry these in your bags? This is a Tema thing. He started doing this on our first trip, and we have used them more often than not. So for like zippers that break, or something that comes off of your stroller, or just trying to keep, even like if the button pops off of your pants for whatever reason, you can use that zip tie. You know what I mean? Like you can use them for practically anything. So they're very, very, very handy for that stuff. And then snacks, of course, for all those hangry moments, like you said. We always keep extra socks in our bag. Do you guys do that too?
Yeah.
It's handy. Or like a change of clothes when the kids were littler. Now I find like we probably just keep like an extra t-shirt for each one of them, and that's pretty much it. But in the day, it was like a full change of clothes.
That's my big one. That's my big thing.
Yep.
And it's kind of a pain in the patoot, but if you pack it well in a Ziploc bag, so you have that Ziploc bag for the clothes emergency, go ahead and pack everybody a complete outfit, not just shirt and shorts, a complete outfit. Please don't forget underwear because somebody's potty training. Please don't forget socks. We go as far as putting in flip-flops.
We did too.
You know, we might not have tennis shoes, but we had a pair of flip-flops for everyone. So that if the rain started to pour, I would grab everybody's dry shoes, put them in flip-flops, and we would be good to go. And if I compress it down in a Ziploc bag, it's, you know, roll all the air out of it and zip it up and put it in the bottom of my backpack, it was there in an emergency.
Exactly.
But I will tell you, the one time I didn't have anything because the backpack was at the parks with the rest of my family, and Katie and I went late to Hollywood Studios to catch up with them because she kind of slept in and it wasn't worth getting her going earlier. She had the blowout diaper on the bus. And I didn't have anything at all with me because it was all with Tom already in the parks with the big kids. And so I got off the bus with her, yucky, and put her in her stroller and went, yuck, found the baby care center and got stuff to change her diaper, and went to the first store and bought an outfit for $45 to put her in because her clothes were destroyed, and changed her up and cleaned off her stroller and looked at her and said, don't do that again.
Aww, poor kiddo.
But it wasn't her fault. But, you know, it was
Obviously
one of
not.
those moments that it was like, oh, and it was before the days of everybody had a cell phone because Katie's 15 now. We all had them, but you know, Tom's was in his pocket and he wasn't necessarily answering. And, you know, it was just one of those moments. So I had learned my lesson, and forevermore, that was the important thing to me. So,
and I think we're all so hesitant to like go to the stores in the parks and say, hey, I need this or I need that. But they really are very, very, very well stocked with stuff, in all honesty. So, you know, in a pinch, if you don't have what you need, more often than not, they'll be able to guide you to the right place to go in order to get what you need.
And those baby care centers stock so much.
They're so great.
Yeah. They are. They're fantastic. So Rachel says, we would pack snacks, especially apples or grapes. They also freeze 2 water bottles that melt throughout the day, so they have cold water. That's a great one.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And I believe this is Elizabeth So Elizabeth says, we have a double stroller for our now 10 and 4-year-olds. It's beat up and covered with Disney stickers. One time we collected so many stickers, we had cast members chasing us down to add to our collection. The second seat is all up for the bags and hanging out on the clips so it doesn't flip back when our little one gets out. That's brilliant.
That's smart.
And we bring a bag that is made of ice pack material for the cold items. The bottom storage is for the water and ponchos. Perfect. Tina says they all use those Brita water filters too if they are going all day. Yep. Gina says traveling with littles is like traveling by myself. So in other words, she brings the Mary Poppins bag full of all the things.
Would we expect anything other than that from
from
Gina? Who's
Gina.
practically perfect in every way.
No, we would not. No, we would not. So yeah, it's just I think that also though remembering that while you want to pack a suitcase worth of a park bag, remember that you have to haul it on and off every ride unless you really want to risk it going. And most of us throw our wallets in there too, right? Us moms. So you're going to be carrying it on and off things. So maybe don't overpack. You've got to find the balance.
Right. And if you're going with babies, I know like there's a lot of cute different types of diaper bags right now. The backpack ones are the ones that you need for the parks. Just like Marian said, you're going to be wearing it on and off of every single ride, and you're not going to want to have to mess with something that's just on one shoulder.
Trust us, we all love the Petunia pickle bottom luggage looking like diaper bags. Those are not your park. Those aren't your park bags. Those are your play date bags at home. Your park bag is your heavy duty backpack.
I don't know if you guys would do this, but I would always have like 1 or 2 diapers in the backpack, and then I would toss like a supply down
underneath
at the bottom of the stroller.
Absolutely.
So that I would be able to like have them for later if I needed them.
So Sam says his wonderful wife packs Disney park days as if the zombie apocalypse is going to happen.
Pretty much.
That's kind of how I did too.
I love her.
She is our people.
Shoes and a change of clothes and all of the Walgreens. I love that she takes all of the Walgreens.
Hey, we have tweezers in our bag because, you know, those littles, they touch everything. And then inevitably you'll end up with a splinter.
Yes.
So my take is if you have diaper littles, I lost it. If you have diaper kids, bring them. Otherwise, if the apocalypse happens, Disney will gladly take your money at the closest merch shop.
Exactly.
Yes. So let's move on to our next topic of fun about traveling with littles. Navigating. This is the fun one, right?
Oh, this is the one we only have to pick 3, isn't it?
Well, we could talk all night about this one. So I know. Was like, let's pick 3 for this. Your 3 top tips from each of us, and then we'll go to the community and they'll throw in all the really good ones because the community is smart. So Holly, give us your top 3.
All right. For navigating the parks, know where the play areas are in the parks. So in Magic Kingdom, Tom Sawyer Island, the Dumbo play area, Animal Kingdom, Boneyard, Dig Site, Rafiki's Planet Watch, and the affection section, petting zoo. Epcot, they have little play areas kind of all over the place, depending on the festival. And then the Seas is another fun place. Hollywood Studios is kind of tricky. Just there's the dance party. So I'd say kind of maybe the dance party is your play area. Over there, there's not really a set play area since the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids play area went away, but let the kids out and just roam. We actually did the Boneyard for the first time with all of our kids this last trip. And I was kind of an anxious mess because I was like, I couldn't see the exit from where we were standing, and we were meeting up with some other people from other podcasts. And I was just like so anxious, but the kids didn't want to leave. They were just going up and sliding and going up and sliding and going up and sliding over and over and over. And they just burned off energy, and they had so much fun. So know the play areas and use them.
That's a good one.
The other one that's great at Epcot, actually, to add to your list is Mission Space. If you go in through the gift shop, there's one back there. That's like a
Oh,
climbable play
yeah.
structure indoors for air conditioning.
Ooh.
Also, Magic Kingdom, there the Splash Mountain queue has
Yep.
one too
Yes.
for the kiddos that are waiting. Yeah.
It's like a little
So,
maze.
so know where those are. Second tip. So this works for us. We skip the fireworks in the park with the whole family just because it's usually late. There's usually a huge crowd trying to leave at the same time. And then if the kids are still awake, find a place that is not in the park to watch the fireworks. So a lot of the DVC resorts will have places where you can go watch. Wilderness Lodge has Our Heart. And so if you go down by Geyser Point, you can see the Magic Kingdom fireworks and they play the music.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can see them from Polly.
Mm-hmm.
When we were at Beach Club, we could see Harmonious from some parts of the pool. So you don't have to fight the crowds to try to leave at that late time of the day if the kids are still awake. And then number 3, I'm going to do 3 and then Dan gave me 1. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Of course.
So don't skip Epcot. A lot of people will tell you that Epcot is a good park to skip if you have little kids. There is so much there for little kids to do and explore. And there are actually more attractions that they can ride at Epcot than what they can ride at Hollywood Studios. So don't skip Epcot. There's a lot of information about what's available to littles. Lots of there's the Frozen area and princesses. Lots of characters are going to be coming back there soon. And it's a fun park for the parents to kind of explore too.
Figment. Oh my goodness. What child doesn't laugh hysterically when they get to the fart scene?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So don't skip Epcot. And then Dan's big one was if one person has to use the bathroom, everyone goes to the bathroom.
That's our family rule too.
And if you have kids that are in diapers, have dad change the diapers because the ladies' room diaper changing station always has a line and the men's restroom does not.
That's a great tip.
Change the diapers.
That's excellent. That's an excellent point.
Very, very good tip.
Yeah. So.
And about that, everybody goes to the bathroom. It's really easy to forget about the little one in the diaper.
Yeah.
Every time somebody has to go to the bathroom, and if everybody's going to the bathroom, that means the little one's diaper gets changed.
Oh, yeah.
Said by the mom who used to
forget about the little one in the diaper.
Forget about the little one in the diaper because she didn't fuss about it. So,
and if you know you're getting into a line with a long queue, check bathroom situation before you get into the line.
Amen.
I have to say though, most folks are very understanding.
They
when you
really
go through saying, "Sorry, it's a potty emergency."
Yes, so they really are. But it will save you a lot of stress and trying to figure out how to get in and out of line.
Exactly.
Check before you get in. But yes, you can get out of line to use the bathroom if you need to. So,
Sandy.
So my first and number 1 tip for touring the parks with any age kid is what the kids don't know exists doesn't exist.
Yes.
Don't watch the YouTube videos with them. Do not do it. Don't. Because going to the parks and you know what's there and what you can skip along the way, but that they don't know exists makes your life so much easier. So for anyone I know, I always tell them that park touring with tots is managing adult FOMO because you know what's there and you want to see and do everything, but your children don't need to. So that's my number 1 tip.
And don't build up in that same vein. Don't build up something that you're going to get to go and meet such and such a character because you've seen that happens. And then you get there and then for some reason that character isn't meeting or greeting or this isn't happening or that ride isn't working. And all you've talked about to that little person is this. And so they think that's all you're going to do at Disney World. And then when that doesn't happen, you'll have a magical moment for sure. And it'll be your magical moment and their magical moment at the same time, which is never happy.
Yep.
That does happen.
So in that vein, our second tip is always to slow down and smell the roses. So Marianne, you had this experience too with Katie when they had the sword and the stone. Had we not just been waiting around, waiting for our friends that day, we would have never had the experience where Jacob got to pull the sword from the stone because we would have been running off to something here or there and we wouldn't have noticed that there was a little troop of troubadours that showed up to do a little performance, and we wouldn't have had that moment. And so at that moment, we learned to slow down and smell the roses in the parks, because what you want to see are, especially with little ones, are the shows, are the characters, are the parades. That's what lights up their face. And that's what you're going to remember as a parent. And those are the memories that they're going to have. They're not going to remember riding Splash 4 times in a row at that age. They won't. But they're going to remember having seen the parade. They're going to remember having met the princesses. Evie still remembers having met Tinkerbell at 2. So, like those things will stick with them for a lifetime. And then the last thing I wanted to say was just be nice. So that's my third tip for touring the parks, because it's amazing how many people you encounter in the parks that are just running through it haggard and just like out of gas, and they're just not in their right frame of mind anymore because they're exhausted at that point. And so for us, often in our parks bags, we'll carry little bottles of those like dollar store bubbles. I don't know if you guys have seen those that they use for weddings or whatever else. And just handing over to someone whose kid is almost having a meltdown, because parents can tell, right? You know that. And having your kid hand them a little bottle of either like bubbles, or carrying stickers in your bag, or, like some sort of glow stick in the evenings, and handing that off to that other kid will make their day and make the trip for that other parent. So, just be nice. And to the cast members too, because honestly, the cast members are where the magic comes from. So say hello to them, say hi, have a conversation with them. It's rare, I think, that they get to have people who are ultra friendly with them and who are willing to just take the time to say thank you and to say hi. So those are my 3 tips. How about you, Marianne?
I only have one because Sandy talked about slowing down, and I think that one's super important. And Holly talked about my bathroom one, which was super important. But my last one is this: don't set your expectations for your park experience to be beyond what your child can do.
Yep.
We are all hopefully going to take these children to the parks multiple times for multiple years. If you have not successfully sat on Santa's lap, your child is not going to hug Mickey Mouse.
It's so true.
So mom, get a grip. Don't force that. Katie Tracy sat there in her chair at one of the first nights of our trip at Chef Mickey's, and here comes Goofy all walking through the restaurant, and she gets so excited. She's like, oh, hot dog, because of the hot dog song, and he was kind of doing this, so she thought he was gonna dance the hot dog song, and he heard her. So he comes over to the table, and she goes, no hot dog, bad hot dog. And I went, oh, okay. Now, this kid did hug Snoopy a week before we left at our local theme park, but Goofy was scary to her. And it set the tone for the rest of our week. We did not greet any of those characters well. Mm-hmm. And princesses even, we kind of were like, oh. Yeah. Until finally Alice worked some magic. I do not know how Alice worked the magic, but Alice got down on her level and talked right to her and said, hey, Katie, because her name was on her shirt, because, we're that family. Hey, Katie, I want to introduce you to my friend, the White Rabbit. He is a very nice rabbit. I think you'll really like him. He's very soft and gentle. And she's saying this, and the White Rabbit is listening to all this. And Jack's looking at her going, yeah, right. With all of his 9-year-oldness. Yeah, right. And Katie's just kind of like it, but she took Katie by the hand and walked her over. And we got a picture with the White Rabbit with Katie.
That's so sweet.
I think it's the British accent, because we did that for our kiddos. So,
it was just magical. And then the rest of the week we would go to see those characters, and we would be okay with that until we met Eeyore at Crystal Palace. But the look on her face in her high chair, we did actually take a picture of that one because it was pretty hilarious. The look of dread over this great big Eeyore coming over to
And we
the
have one
table.
with Minnie like that with Evie as well.
Right. And, but it isn't worth waiting in line
No.
and then having your child not be willing to meet that character.
Yeah.
So my rule is if you don't do Santa well, then you're probably not ready for parks characters yet. But that doesn't mean they won't love them.
On a float in the
On
parade.
a float in the
Yeah.
parade.
Mhm.
Katie stood there and bounced and danced and waved to them all. But if they would have come up to her, she would have flipped her lid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So just know your child, and you're going to go back. It'll be okay. I have lots of pictures of Katie with characters as an older kid that I didn't have on that first trip when she was 2.
I'm glad you guys talked about slowing down because we bought DVC when we had our 3rd child. So we come to it from a different perspective. We came to it from the perspective of the family that we didn't know that our next trip was guaranteed. And so every trip that we went on, we did everything. We made sure, we ran our kids from rope drop to fireworks every day of the trip. And they were exhausted and we were exhausted. So, we've owned DVC now for almost 4 years. And it has taken us a long time to slow down. And, we will be back. And it's hard to kind of reset your mind if you come into it already having kids and already being used to that kind of go lifestyle. And we still have days like that where we're there from park opening to park close. But, this past trip, we took a lot of afternoon breaks. We took a lot of school breaks. We left, we didn't stay all day at the parks. We stayed until lunch and then we left. Yep. So yeah, definitely. I come to it from both perspectives. So slowing down once you own DVC is so worth it.
It's why we buy DVC.
Exactly.
So Sam tells us that as a Disney father of 5 kids, do not bring your stroller from home. Rent one because they're better strollers. So they handle better in the parks.
Yes, they do.
And you don't have to worry about taking it on the airplane. I think that's a great tip. So let's talk real quick before the show is over. We're going to go to Pete's tip here about don't forget the pool. Let's talk about what to do at at DVC resorts with your little kids. So Holly, what is your favorite things about being in a DVC resort with your littles?
So our hidden gem of the DVC resort are the quiet pools with little kids.
Really?
Yes, because you go, especially really little kids, you go in and you see these really big, awesome main pools like Stormalong Bay and, the center pool there at the Copper Springs pool at Wilderness Lodge. And they have the big water slides and they look amazing. But then you realize not all my kids can go down that slide on their own. True. And the pool has steps or ladders that go down into it. But a lot of the quiet pools have 0 entry. I'm thinking Boulder Ridge. We just got back from there. Our kids loved the quiet pool at Boulder Ridge. They loved the grandstand pool at Saratoga Springs because it had its own little splash area right there in the pool area.
Love the spray ground at Saratoga Springs.
Yeah, we didn't make it over to the paddock pool, but we went to the High Rock Springs pool and they did enjoy that pool. But I really think that they liked the grandstand pool because it had that little splash area in it. And then at Stormalong Bay, actually, I think their favorite part was the little area at the tip of the pirate ship that's kind of across the little boardwalk area. There's like one little kid slide and one little pool area, and it was 0 entry, and you had a perfect view of Harmonious from there. So don't shy away from the quiet pools with your little kids. I was nervous that like the adults were gonna be like, why are they bringing kids in here? There were a lot older, rowdier kids than ours there. But yeah, don't give up on the quiet pools. There is a lot of fun to be had, and it's a little bit more relaxing for you too as the adult. So
that's a great one because I bet most people wouldn't think about that, but that's so true to find that quiet place to hang out in, especially when you're outnumbered.
Yes.
And in your situation, you're outnumbered. So.
Yeah. And we found Stormalong Bay was hard for us because it is so big and we have such a range of kids. And so it was hard to find something that they all kind of wanted to do. And I know Dan did the majority of that night. But it was hard. So
Sandy?
So my tip would be to pick a resort that suits your family. So if you know that you're going to be back at the hotel a lot because your kids just aren't able to weather the parks all day long, then pick a resort that has a really fun pool, maybe something for your down days like Animal Kingdom Lodge, where you can go and tour the animals and do the animal activities, and also something with a community hall as much as possible, because kids love arts and crafts, like hands down, right? Like that's just part of the deal. So having somewhere that has a community hall that will be running those types of activities during the day. I'm looking at you, Polly, with that one. You know, like
Right.
that's a big game changer, especially with littles. Somewhere with a play park, with a splash pad, you know, like those are all big key features in having in the resort that you're staying at. The other thing that we always do is we would pack like Play-Doh and crayons and coloring pages and all that stuff for the room, because you know you're gonna inevitably have to be getting something ready, or if you're getting your lunch ready or your breakfast or whatever else, and you have to keep those littles entertained, and they don't necessarily want to sit on Disney Junior all morning long. So that's also a great tip. What about you, Marianne? Do you have any
So my thoughts are, this is the time. I know it seems silly because you don't really, most of you, when you're taking littles, don't really need more than a studio, but you do. Go ahead and splurge on the 1 bedroom or bigger for your family. And the reason is that then you have someplace to put that napping child, and everybody else has someplace to hang out. You have the kitchen, you have the laundry, you have those things that make it like going home. And those comforts of home just make your trip so much easier when you have those little people. And don't forget, when they go back to doing housekeeping, please don't forget to take whatever the lovey is that your child absolutely must have out of the bed. It needs to go out of the bed. It just needs to be the routine, and either go onto the kitchen counter if you're in a 1 bedroom or up, or the dresser, or someplace totally away from laundry, because there is nothing sadder than Pink Silky getting wrapped up in the sheets and going to Disney Laundry, because
Agreed.
somebody needs Pink Silky.
I agree.
So, and I have a child that we have multiples of that Pink Silky, but there is only one Pink Silky. So that is, and that's also your Disney Cruise Line tip too, people. So make sure, sometimes that losing stuff to Disney Laundry is a sad, sad thing. And my biggest hint for going to the parks with littles is to slow down, and I don't care if your kids can do it, and I don't care if your kids can nap in strollers. It is not fun for anybody. Take an afternoon break. Yeah. It's hot in the afternoon. Nobody sleeps well, even in a stroller where they're comfortable when it's 100 degrees out. They just don't. And there's still too much chaos and crazy. Yeah, they sleep, but it's not good sleep. Go back to your resort in the air conditioning. Have your littles take a nap. Have the other parent take the ones who are too rowdy and won't sleep down to the pool to splash around. Go to the community hall. Go to the playgrounds. Have that downtime for mainly all of the things that go on around you, to have that focus, just be quiet for a little while for their brains to reset. Then your evenings will go so much better, and you'll have the opportunity to ride Dumbo after dark.
Yep.
Or the Astro Orbiter after dark.
Or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train during the fireworks, which is awesome.
Yeah, something, those kinds of things. You'll have a better option of doing those things.
Or there won't be meltdowns at dinner.
Oh my gosh, the meltdowns at dinner. And, ultimately, I think I do better if I have an afternoon break too. I tend not to have the magical mommy moment. And, because we all do that, because we all are so anxious and excited for this, and we've planned for so long, and we want it to be perfect. And if you just keep one thing in mind, it's never going to be perfect. And that's
Exactly.
okay. The cute matching outfits, chocolate ice cream is going to go all down the front of it, right? But we're going to be those moms at the park that are going to roll with it because we know it isn't our last trip at the
Exactly.
park. We're going to be able to just keep our cool, change those clothes, keep on moving, right?
Mhm.
So
To build on your point about the midday break, we often, and Holly, before what you were saying about your first couple of trips, how it was like rope drop to like done. We would often use the ferries around Magic Kingdom for that kind of like quiet time. So take that ferry out to Wilderness Lodge, head on back right after, just do the round trip on it, a little bit of quiet, a little bit of air. And it was a great way to just kind of calm down a little bit in the middle of the day without necessarily having to head all the way back to the resort.
Right. Well, yes, especially if your resort isn't handy. Then you can also do the Marianne Nap Time Challenge.
It works. I love that challenge.
It does work especially well in Magic Kingdom, where you can start at Filler Magic, and then you move to Country Bear or Hall of Presidents, then Country Bears, then Tiki Room. And usually by the time you've done those 4, you've gotten a good 2 hours of air conditioning and quiet and relaxing. And during the hottest time in the day in the parks, we started doing this when my kids were too old to take a break, and I finally said, Mom has to have one. So we're going to do the Marianne Nap Time Challenge and do all the shows in a big circle in the afternoon. And we've pretty much learned how to do it at every park.
Oh yeah. 100%. 100%. The best thing to do in the afternoons are shows. Yep. I completely agree. After lunch, that's the routine.
Yep. If you're not heading if you're not heading back for a nap time, rest time, pool time, showers, refresh, just getting totally refreshed. Yes, the showtime afternoon is
the matinees.
Yes, go hit all the matinees. Gina says when she takes kiddos, she always tells them Disney isn't going anywhere. Breaks are essential.
That's a great tip.
So, well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Sorry we went a few minutes over. Oh my goodness. Oh, thanks, Rachel. Thanks for tuning in and enjoying the tips. I hope that we've helped you a little bit in planning for future trips with toddlers and preschool age children. Go ahead and drop us other questions in the Facebook community. Holly and Sandy and I are in there every day. We'll be more than happy to answer what we can. And you know what? Our community is really smart too. Drop your questions in and you'll get lots of input about what you should do. So I think that's great. Oh, thanks, Gina. And you guys, did you know we aren't just a live show in Facebook on Sunday nights? There's a podcast too. It's a really great one. So there's the My DVC Points podcast and our sister shows, DVC Newscast, which is a great show to watch, get up-to-date information about what's going on in the world of Disney, in the worlds around Disney, all over the world. They give us all kinds of good information, not just DVC information, all kinds of information. And then we of course have our Facebook group. We have such a nice community. If you are watching this on YouTube and you didn't know we have a Facebook group, go join our Facebook group. It's such a fun community and everybody is so kind to each other and we like it that way. And hey, welcome. I'm glad you're a new DVC member. I'm so glad. And I'm glad you found our community. I hope that we can be helpful to you. So remember to, if you're out there looking for new contracts, DVC resale market, if you need to rent your points so you can buy a contract, see what I did there? Call DVC rental store. And hey, Monera Financial can help you with the money to make it all happen. And we thank them so much for their sponsorship of our show. Hey, and thank our Patreons too. We appreciate you guys supporting us through Patreon. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you. Are we here next week? Yes, we are here next week. We're here next week, and I believe
Golf. I think it's
we're
golf.
talking about golfing at Disney World. So I can't wait to see all the information that people like to share about that with us. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.